coming to you live from the centre of the universe at the border between the light and the dark, Castle Grayskull. My name is Bruce, and for countless ages I have kept this universe in harmony, but the armies of darkness do not rest, and the capture of Grayskull is evermost in their minds. With those that control Grayskull. Not very
And
well.
he writes this one.
I know, exactly. Will come the power to be supreme, the power to be almighty, the power to be the 10-point podcast.
Yeah,
With me in Eternia today. First, you minute minion, I have you to blame for all these troubles. It's Chris.
I can't think of what Grildor said. I was going to say something funny there. Hi. That'll do.
Hi.
Hi.
Good Johnny. And secondly, I ache to smash you out of existence to drive your cursed face from my memory forever. It's Andy.
I got a pretty good one that time.
Good journey. We are the 10-point podcast. You can listen to us everywhere that you get podcasts and all that nonsense. This is a podcast. You must know where you get podcasts. It's probably where you're listening to us. You can also find us on YouTube. We are 10-point podcast over there as well. And you can see video versions and also get audio versions depending on the week.
Well, I remember. I'll ask you now, completely unhinged. So, obviously, Facebook and Instagram and all that went down last week, okay? It was dark time, so our Facebook listeners probably couldn't get our podcast if they listened to it on Facebook.
Absolutely.
So I was thinking, what do you think if I set up a Pornhub account for the podcast?
Up on there as well.
Because apparently Pornhub went up like about 1,000,000% on usage when Facebook went down.
Right.
So I feel like if we're on there, at least people can always get us no matter what.
There'll be more people watching us if nothing else. So I feel like the first 3 seconds might get a lot of views. So how long the intro lasts, maybe then that point.
Then our faces pop up and that's it. Screw it.
I think so. So maybe over there, but also on YouTube and social media, as Andy mentioned, our Facebook and on Twitter, 10-point podcast. All the letters, no numbers, 10-point podcast beginning with a T over there. And you can join our cult over at 10pointpodcast.com. Donate over there, send us beer money, sponsor money, or whatever you want us to do with the money over there, and there's other reviews and articles and stuff on there, and links to all the podcasts if you're having trouble finding them on other ones, but they're quite easy to find. And that's us. And what have we, the trio of the 10-point podcast, been watching in the last week? Well, we've been listening to Andy before the podcast, what he's been watching, so I'll start with Chris because I know what Andy's watched. So Chris, what have you watched in the last week?
I watched a series of short films from director Neil Blomkamp.
Oh, that's what I was going to watch. I forgot to watch that.
On Netflix, Old Studios.
Aye.
Yeah, it's the only problem I found it is they're half an hour, some of them, some like 10 minutes, but they're one and done. So you start to get invested, and you're like, oh, this is great, and then that's it, it's done.
This was what he was meant to make before, when the alien rumors were going on again, and then they basically shit-canned him, so he decided to do these again.
Okay.
So he's basically directed, never get to direct.
Ah. Okay. How many in total is there then, Chris?
I think there's 10, but you get a couple that are 20 minutes, some are 30 minutes, or some 3 and 6 minutes. The God ones are good with Sharlto Copley and the other guy from District 9.
Right.
Quite good.
Right.
So, let's give them a watch.
Might have a
We
look.
we blasted through them in a day. Me and Nicola, they're quite good.
Cool.
I've also started a Middle Earth marathon. And
Right.
I'm going to put them in order at the end once they're finished of Thingy. So
Starts
far,
with
the best one.
It starts with the Hobbit, doesn't it? That's not the order it goes in.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I'm at the Hobbit. Yeah, Unexpected Adventure so far. That's one I've seen.
The
So
best
far,
one is Two Towers, without a
that's the
doubt.
best.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see when I get finished.
In my mind, I do have an affinity for the Hobbit, but then there's an extra 2 films worth of story in there, so that kind of takes it down. But yeah, personally, I think the Two Towers as well. Andy, we've heard before the podcast what you've watched. What have you watched in the last week?
Fuck all.
Right.
I forgot. I cannot remember what I've been watching. The TV's definitely been on, but I don't know what has been on the TV.
You didn't watch what was it? You were threatening to watch the Silent Hill sequel at some point, and you didn't get that.
Oh, that was Chris. No, I've not watched that yet either.
Oh, yeah, I've still not watched that either.
See, it's one of them weeks.
What did we watch last week? Oh, it was Tremors. Didn't watch any of the Tremors movies or anything like that.
No, that didn't even get me excited for more Tremors. No, I think just Masters of the Universe.
Just the news for Andy this week then.
Yeah.
I've not got a lot.
Buy your Christmas presents now. That's all I'm saying.
I've not got a lot either. I've watched all of Squid Game except the final episode, which is a bit unfortunate for podcasting, but very good so far. I very much like it. A couple of the storylines are kind of gone a good direction, and a couple of them I'm just like...
How are you watching it? Are you watching it with Korean and English subtitles, or are you watching it English dubbed?
Well, I wanted to do subtitles. I do like the subtitles, which I feel like I could have got away with. But Jade also wanted to like do other stuff while it was on, so she didn't have to pay 100% attention to it. So I thought we'll go dubbed, and it actually is probably the best dub thing I've ever watched. Like,
hey, I knew it. I had a feeling about it.
The English like words to how they must have changed the script a bit, because sometimes they're saying
they did. Apparently, the Koreans are kicking off saying that it's now a shit TV series.
Right. Okay.
Apparently, a lot of things are like changed, and like a lot of kind of they do like clues and hints and stuff like that all the way through as well. And apparently, like, you don't get any of that in the dub version because they took it all out.
But I am now. So spoiler for about 3/4 of the way through Squid Game if you've not made it yet. I'm a bit disappointed it went dubbed, because the scene where the VIPs walk in and they're all speaking English.
Yeah.
I wish I'd experienced that. Like, I've watched however many hours of this in subtitled Korean, for then someone to be talking in English. I'm like, oh my god, that would have been so good. But yeah, I'm fine with the dubbed anyway. It's not a bother. So yeah, one to go to find out whether my main man wins or not. So I'm excited. That'll probably might get done tonight, if not. But by next week,
I wonder what the last game's going to be.
Yeah. And yeah, it's taken over the world, has Squid Game, and it's going to be, the Halloween costumes are going to be everywhere in about 3 months. As everyone's going to be. And the only other thing I watched this week, I've now forgotten off my head. Oh yeah, I was doing some more Wes Anderson films, so I made it to the Darjeeling Limited, which was Adrian Brody, Owen Wilson, and Jason Schwartzman on a train, and it is actually not worth your time. It is rubbish.
I told you, you shit.
But I think I tried to watch that one before and got about 20 minutes into it and gave up. I think I'm at the exact same point this time. I'm not feeling this, but I need to stick with it because it must be good. Nah, it's not worth it. It's not one of the better ones, so don't bother with that. I think that's it. We better crack on. We've done a wee bit of talking there, and we've not actually had a lot to talk about. So on to point one on the 10-point podcast. Point number one: what is the point? The point of the podcast is the 1987 action-adventure fantasy sci-fi film Masters of the Universe, brought to us by the Canon Group, Golan Globus Productions, and Edward R. Pressman Films. We've not done anything involving them before, but things like some Superman sequels, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, Cobra, your kind of 1980s sort of action fare, and that's kind of what they're behind. This film, coupled with another disaster around this time, pretty much shut down more than one of those companies. This was the end for them. Masters of the Universe is poor business. That's why they've not got much in the way of massive films. Masters of the Universe, based on the Mattel line of toys, which then became a comic and became an animated series. And then this film was based on all of that, one way or another. Written by David Odell. Big writing credits on his CV are The Muppet Show. He wrote episodes. Then he went from there, clearly, to The Dark Crystal, which is a bit more in between He-Man and The Muppet Show. He did a Supergirl movie I'd never heard of from the 1980s, and then he wrote Masters of the Universe movie. There were a couple of uncredited rewrites, including the director, Gary Goddard. This was the only feature he ever directed, was Masters of the Universe, and his best, according to the internet, his best thing he ever directed was Jurassic Park: The Ride pre-show video. Best thing he ever.
Pretty good video, that. Get you pumped.
And he is the man behind the television series Captain Power, which I don't know if I've heard of, or it's just very similar to other television series.
Yep, never heard of it.
We'll go away from Gary Goddard because he was involved in Me Too, so he's got allegations directed at him. So we will not too much credit on old Gary Goddard. Masters of the Universe stars Dolph Lundgren, known for being in Rocky IV. This was his first leading role in Masters of the Universe. Since then, he went into the 1980s version of The Punisher, then Universal Soldier, Johnny Mnemonic, the Expendable series of films, Sharknado 5 Global Swarming, I had to mention that, and then recently Creed 2 and Aquaman, and is going to be in like the Aquaman sequel and another sequel to Expendables, I think it is, and all that. So the series that he's found his role in, he's sticking with. Co-starring with Dolph is Frank Langella, who I did not recognise the name, but his name kept coming up in all my kind of pre-reading for this film, and then I found out, oh, that's who he is. His first big acting role I could find on screen was Dracula in 1979. That was the only big thing before Masters of the Universe, and then he's been in things like, this is one end of the other, Junior. That's the film.
I watched that quite recently, actually.
Superman Returns. Then he played Nixon in Frost Nixon. Then he was in The Box, a film called Robot and Frank. I don't know if it's a documentary because it's Frank. I don't know if he plays Frank in it. And then the film Draft Day. Then he was in the Americans television series for nearly its whole run. And recently he was in the Trial of Chicago 7. He was the evil judge in the Trial of Chicago 7, who I hated in that film, in a good way. He would have got a Best Bell End nomination, Frank have, for that film. There are two main stars. I'm not going to head down to Courtney Cox's CV because she was not billed as being one of the stars of this film. We'll maybe get to her in the future. Where are we now? Masters of the Universe. On a budget of $22 million, opened in the US for $5 million. It was third in its opening weekend. It was behind a Bond film and something that escapes my memory. Final US gross, $17 million. Worldwide gross, I could not find a number anywhere.
Classic.
So it did do well in America. Clearly didn't even make its budget back, and it's quite a high budget, I guess, for the 80s, 20 odd million. But yeah, it was not making the money.
20 million, you see a lot.
Yeah,
it wasn't films these days.
The 80s films were making back then. So it did get a worldwide release, as it was released on Boxing Day in the UK. So it definitely came out. But it was released on the 7th of August 1987 in America for its poor opening. That means it's the 1988 awards season for it. It won 2 awards. Did Masters of the Universe? I can't work out the first.
I know how Chris's rating is going to write it by his face.
I can't work out the first. So at the Saturn Awards, which I might start nominating as our go-to awards ceremony. The Saturn Awards 1988, Gary Goddard, the director, won the Silver Scroll for Outstanding Achievement, and in this film was credited. So it wasn't like, oh, he's done really well in his career or this, that, because he only ever directed this film. So this won something at the Saturn Awards involving director. I'm not really sure. But the other award it won was Best Special Effects at the Fantasporto International Fantasy Film Awards in Portugal. That was the other award.
Yay.
I don't think it's a major award. It did have 5 losing nominations. It lost 2 Best Science Fiction Film nominations, Best Costumes and Best Special Effects, and its final nomination was at the 1988 Razzie Awards, nominated for Worst Supporting Actor, Billy Barty. He played Gwildor.
That's a bit harsh.
Yeah, I thought it was extremely harsh because I see Razzie Awards 1 nomination. I'm like, that explains it. Wait, supporting actor? Oh, right, Billy Barty. He lost to David Mendenhall in Over the Top. That's the arm wrestling film. I don't know if you've seen it, but I'm certainly aware of it. It's like Rocky, but it's arm wrestling, essentially, is what Over the Top is. So yeah, not massively successful, but it did actually win 2 good awards rather than winning 2 Razzies.
Yeah.
More than some of the films we do on here. Synopsis, written by Claudio, not yet read by me. Claudio says, on the planet Eternia, Skeletor and his dark army overthrow the sorceress of Castle Grayskull, expecting to acquire her power. He-Man, his old friend Duncan, Man-at-Arms, and his daughter Teela are attacked by Skeletor's soldiers, and they defeat them. They also rescue their prisoner, the inventor and locksmith Gwildor. He explains that he was lured by Evil Lyn and that used his invention, the Cosmic Key, to open the gates and seize the Castle Grayskull. He-Man and his friends retrieve the prototype of the Cosmic Key, trying to release the sorceress, but they are defeated by Skeletor and his army, and Gwildor uses his key to open and portal for them to flee. They come to Earth, but lose the...
Meanwhile, reads it as it pops up.
It's almost like one word. Julie Winston, who grieves the loss of her parents in a plane crash, and her boyfriend Kevin Corrigan find and activate the key, believing it is a foreign musical instrument. On Eternia, Evil Lyn locates the Cosmic Key, and Skeletor sends her with a group of mercenaries and soldiers to vanquish He-Han and his friends and bring the key back. He-Han. Will they succeed? That's why I struggle to find them. It's like, go look for He-Han. Andy, you picked Masters of the Universe. Can you give us a brief reason why?
Nope. It fits the theme, and that was about it. We've not done Dolph Lundgren. I thought read this, and also technically it's our spooky season, so I decided this film is terrifying.
It has terrifying moments, I'll say that. How about you, Chris? Had you seen this before?
I had, but not since I was like a 10 or 11. It has been ages.
I tell you
since
what, it's matured since then.
I think this film has unlocked memories in my brain. Like, I'm a couple years older than you, so I would actually be born before this came out, which you guys I think would be too young. You'd be younger than the film. So
Yeah.
when I was very young, I forgot to actually double check with my dad because I think he would know best. I think I used to watch the He-Man animated show when I was younger. And watching this film, the Andy's got the ribs behind him. I vividly remember that scene of Gwildolf. I'm like, I have seen this before. And I think I have, like, because that's quite early on. I think I must have watched the film thinking, oh my god, it's Masters of the Universe, it's He-Man movie. And then realizing this is nothing like the animated show. And then just stopped watching it, I think. So I don't think I've ever seen the whole thing.
I remember him flying about on the kind of hoverboard, and that's it. I remember the ribs bit and then the hoverboard. And nothing in between it.
Something about that rib scene. I don't know what it is, but yeah. So
I know. Like I said last week on the podcast, this was the film that I first got introduced to, like, fried chicken. I'd never seen fried chicken before, and I was like, I need that. Like, I would be young watching this, but like this film was terrifying as a kid because, like I said, like you, I would be watching the cartoon. Then my mum was like, "Oh, right, he watches the cartoon. We'll put this on," and it's a fucking horror show for a kid to watch. I reckon.
I remember being freaked out. Yeah. And I'd watched it. We're always jokingly talking what channel we were on. I watched this, and at the age where I watched it, it would have to be on one of the 4 main channels in the UK. This must have been BBC or Channel 4 or something like that. Was when I watched it because I didn't have any fancy movie channels when I last saw it.
Same.
I think probably first TV airing of it I probably watched. On to point 2 then. What we thought the high points were of Masters of the Universe. Andy, you picked it. Why don't you? Give us an early one. I will give you a spoiler. I don't think I've got anything in the early going that's a high point. So you can get some early ones.
That's fine. Well, once you get past the ridiculously long intro, which I'll bring back my old intro thing, normally when they put intros up, you know it's a bad sign that people are going to tune off. That's why I've always kind of rated films. However, it did kind of draw me in because the music was quite quirky, and I was like, what's going to go on? And nothing actually happens.
I like Superman vibes from the theme.
Oh, yeah, definitely, yeah. And so I was just watching, I was like, something happens here. I was like, nothing actually happens. However, my first high point is the kind of like the whole start. It sets up like, oh, there's a big war going on here in like Eternia. It's like, what is this place? Oh, there's He-Man straight off the bat. It's like, all right, he's He-Man. And then it kind of goes downhill from there.
I think I remember. Again, I'm trying to remember what I was thinking like 20 odd year ago, maybe 30 years ago. I think I remember being confused with the fact that why is He-Man like leaving Castle Grayskull and why is Skeletor in charge of like that? Again, would confuse me as. Like,
but if you watch the cartoon, it's like because he's a prince, he's not He-Man straight away.
Yeah.
But they've blown their load straight away. He's just He-Man. He's never the prince. It's like not once does he ever go back into it. He's just He-Man through and through. And it's like, all right, this could be pretty good. And then, like I said, it rapidly goes downhill quite quickly.
Again, I have nothing for a while yet. So,
my first one is this will please Andrew. Living in a Box pops up.
Aye.
Like,
what a song!
It brings back memories of like playing GTA with you and just constantly singing it and just pissing us off.
Living in a Box.
I have nominated for best song "Living in a Box" by Living in a Box from the album "Living in a Box" is my nomination for best song.
Yeah, definitely.
Which, well, you mentioned it. The soundtrack is actually incredible in this because I had that written in, and then all of a sudden, Purple Haze is playing, and it's like Hendrix, and I'm like, "Oh my god, this is amazing!" And then "Hey Mr. Fantasy" is playing in the background, which is a song I was not aware of until it's the first song at the beginning of Endgame, when it's kind of you're introduced to everyone who's still alive in Avengers Endgame. That song is in this film as well. And actually, you mentioned the score. The actual film music itself is great, and I really enjoyed the music and the Cosmic Key. The tune they get out of that is incredible. So the music is I don't know if it's a 10 out of 10, but it's certainly maybe an 8 out of 10 for me for the music in this film. It's really good.
My kind of high point is earlier is like the sets are absolutely amazing, and it's like even like the costumes, 99% of them are pretty good unless they get really close and they get a bit shit like Skeletor's face. But then they just decide to.
It's a bit rubbery.
Yeah, but then they just decide to pull back, and then it's just all this shitty CGI, which still holds up, to be fair. It's not horrendous, but there was no need for it because the sets look so good. Don't pull back and just add more shit in.
Painted scenery around about it where it looks like it's kind of hold on, doesn't quite look right. He-Man's nakedness kind of made me uncomfortable quite a lot of times. Like, he didn't really need to have as little clothes on as he did. Like, I know He-Man's He-Man, but I mean, like, is he always just running around in his pants? Like, I feel like he had a bit.
Is he not like another guy, like Adam or something like that?
He's Adam. He's the Prince Adam. But he's never Prince Adam in this.
Yeah, which confused me. I was assumed that he had the sword.
And I remember like watching like the cartoon and all that, and like Duncan, i.e. the Master of Arms, is like he's a bigger guy.
He-Man.
He's just a skinny little old dude.
That's like that was probably the first time I actually properly laughed out loud, was when I discovered that it was like He-Man, Skeletor, Tila, Evelyn, and then just Duncan. And I was like, why Duncan? Of all the names in all of the universe.
If she becomes good, does she change her name to Goodlin? Or just Lynn?
Yeah.
Yeah, Goodlin.
Right, we're on Earth now because living in a box happened. So
Yeah.
My first high point is actually the bumbling idiot mercenary gang chasing Julie in the gym hall and out into the scrapyard, and then the not bad kind of shootout that they have. But I think it's a scrapyard. I'm not actually sure. It was literally just right next to like shops and houses and all. It was
Yeah.
just a random bit for them to play fight in. But that whole series, that sequence was actually really quite good, and I quite enjoyed it. And a bit of action, and Courtney Cox is actually pretty decent in this film, so I thought she did pretty well what she had as well. So yeah, I enjoyed that scene from the gym hall fire out into the shootout. And then the bits with the idiots are like, they outnumbered us, telling Evelyn, and she somehow has like video
I did like that.
evidence.
Yeah, I did like Beastman and the other little dude. But Blade's like he's the weakest of the lot.
Like,
Well, I felt
He's
bad
not
for the
that-
lizard thing getting like evaporated. It didn't really do
Oh,
anything
yeah.
bad.
every time I saw him, I was just like, that's a predator. They've just made a predator. Of this. But yeah, Blade, it would have been better. I don't know if Andy's going to do it later on, but if it had been the actual Blade from the Blade movies, that would have made a big difference.
Oh, that would have been a different sword fight.
Has anyone else got an early-ish or midpoint high point?
I've kind of,
the cow-
it kind of goes through the whole film. I won. Like
Yeah.
the best thing I found
know.
about this movie was how clumsy everybody was. Did you notice, like right near the start, is the kind of stormtrooper guy tripping over a boulder?
I don't think I noticed.
No.
No.
I've
He
seen
tripped
that.
over a boulder, and then they flipped the scene and did it again. And flipped it back and used the scene 3 times.
Never even noticed.
Did not notice.
And later on, when He-Man rips like a door off or something, or puts a door in, a metal gate falls on top of his head. And as he runs through the door, his sword falls off his back. And it just amused me as how much of it they kept in.
Yeah.
All this shit falling apart.
It's only because
This is
you're the only
massive movie
person that
mistakes.
notices. I think that's why.
I know.
You don't know, it sounds like he was dead center in the
Nope.
screen when it
I'm
happened.
invested in the story. I'm thinking, oh, what's
I know.
He-Man thinking? I'm not looking at his back to see what's falling on him.
Like, that thing,
When
like the thing falls off, he kind of holds it with his head, and he looks at this person, and as he turns around, the sword just goes blip off his back.
No,
Yeah.
my other high point is the cow. Like we finally get some cow communication. I was well happy with that.
I literally laughed out loud when all of a sudden there was a cow there. I was like, we just cannot escape. These same things just keep turning up. There's no reason for there to be a cow. It's just like, I was like, oh my god.
Yep, the cow got a pop in this household as well.
God, I laughed. In terms of bits of the film, my next high point is essentially we're already at Skeletor on the throne with me. Pretty much his, I don't know, Shakespearean monologues were very enjoyable. I'm not exactly sure I understood what he was banging on about half the time, but the bit where Skeletor's on the throne, He-Man's captured, and I really enjoyed the whip. Like I see that it's
getting
painted on or whatever, and it's a cartoon or whatever it's going to be. Actually, really, it was quite satisfying the way it had been like painted on. I quite enjoyed that.
I found
That
it funny
whole
how everybody else was like shocked, and like even Skeletor was like, "Oh, can I watch that?" And the evil Lynn's just staring at it, like,
Ah,
"Yeah, this is my kind of thing."
she wanted to be doing that. She would be whipping E-Man.
Yeah, but yeah, the actual throne room stuff is definitely a high point for me. But I might as well go straight on to my last high point, which is the thing I've prepped both of you for. I sent you both a video. He-Man has Skeletor defeated. He-Man stands over him. Skeletor, it's over. And Skeletor goes, yes, for you, and then attacks him. It immediately made me think of, there's an internet meme video thing I sent to most guys of this old man getting carjacked, and he pulls the same gag on a how to defend yourself if someone tries to steal your car is you pretend to have a heart attack and attack them. But yeah, I really enjoyed that bit because it made me think of that. I thought it was quite a good ending as well. Although it's another bit that's just literally lifted at Star Wars. Most of this film is just take a bit of Star Wars, kind of sprinkle in a bit of Flash Gordon, and then get the characters from the He-Man cartoon series, and that's what this film is. But yeah, heavy Star Wars throughout, which is it's not a terrible thing. It's not a bad thing to copy. But that's my last bit of the film that I've got as a high point. I've got one more sort of theme that I want to stick to. So
I'm out. To be fair, I'm not gonna lie to you.
You out as well, Chris?
Yep.
You may as well carry on.
The last high point was letting everybody except Dolph Lundgren do the acting around about him. I think quite early on they realised Dolph is the shits. Like, we cannot. We called the film He-Man, so we'll reduce all of the He-Man bits down to about 10-15 minutes of the film. Let's just write in some actual humans, we'll give them a storyline, we'll make sure there's a group of baddies and we can follow them around. So everybody else is actually.
It makes sense now.
Yeah, they work pretty well with what they've got, and then Dolph to stand there and brood a little bit and look muscular. I thought that was well planned, I think, if that was the plan. But yeah, letting the good people act around about him, I thought, worked pretty well. Because also, it puts him and Skeletor on a slightly kind of higher, I don't know, plane, up on a pedestal. They're super duper people, all these minions, and all, they can worry about. But it's coming down to good guy A and bad guy A, and they're going to fight at the end. So I quite enjoyed that aspect of it. And that's my last high point. I don't know if I'm waxing too lyrical.
That don't make sense. This one might get another point for that. I mean, that explanation now.
Before we start,
makes so much sense.
So yeah, okay. On to point 3. We'll get back into the low points. It might take away a point if we do that. So low points. Chris, I feel like you've had the least to say with high points, so you must.
Yeah, my first low point was Andy's first high point, like the opening credits. Like, no disrespect to the actors that it happened to, like Dolph and Frank. Like, they were playing the two main characters, and all they got was a plain blue screen and no music. Yet everyone else gets the big fanfare of the Superman music and the colourful black.
I didn't even notice that.
You know, it just pops up blue. Dolph Lundgren, Frank Langella, and then kicks into the film.
It's like on a money-saving attempt. They were an answer on Jeopardy. You know, the answers when they appear up on the screen. We'll just borrow that off of the TV company and we'll whack that up instead. But yeah, it was very, very bold, but also at the same time plain. Yeah. Any other ones?
I've got loads of thoughts.
That's why I'm letting you say them.
All right. Well, my next one is the fighting. Like,
yep.
It's utter bollocks. Like, you could tell that Dolph Lundgren was really green at this point. Like, he hadn't done much.
He did all his own stunts.
Which was this.
That's why like he zoomed in his face so you couldn't see him swinging this floppy sword about.
Yeah, the first fight between him and the goons, like the whole thing. Like my question was were they on a different? I feel like they were filming on a different day. Like, we'll get all the bad guys to react to fighting, and then we'll to come in on Tuesday, and he could do his half, and we'll just cut it together. I don't think you ever saw who he was attacking in the same shot as him at any point in the first fight. It gets better. Like, the fight at the end with Skeletor was much better, but yeah, this first one,
a bit more used to it.
And that was my first low point, Chris. So I don't know if Andy's got any. Why don't you jump in with some now, Andy, if you want?
My bit is like when they actually go to Earth. I know it's needed in the context of this film. However, I'm actually quite enjoying it. It's like, all right, okay, right. They've got to take Castle Grayskull back. That's pretty good. They're sticking with the comic, well, the cartoons here. I'm with this. And then the whole bit where they go to save the sorceress, they pretty much are there. They've almost finished off in 10 minutes. And then suddenly Skeletor has a plan of going, haha, I'm actually here. And then they decide, I don't know, let's just jump through this random portal and go to, like, I know they didn't know it was Earth, but the film was almost over in 10 minutes. It would have been a nice little cartoon, sorted.
Yeah, a little 10-minute one, put on Netflix. On the subject of the cosmic key, something that annoys me, it's just me being pedantic and the son of an English teacher, but the wee guy whose name keeps escaping me, Gwildor, the cosmic key, quote, is the most unique key in the universe. Now, you can't be an amount of unique. You're either unique or you're not. You can't be on a graded scale of uniqueness. So it's the most unique key in the universe, except there's actually 2 of them. So therefore, it's one of the least unique keys in the universe because there's 2.
His was a prototype or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. They did
make a good one.
Wasn't the working one, operational one, but that annoyed me. But yes, I remember as a kid, I think that's why I didn't get into the film, was that the entire thing was just set on normal Earth rather than the fantastical.
That's what annoyed me about like being like He-Man. Well, I know it's not called He-Man, but Masters of the Universe is okay. They've finally shown a bit of the universe, but it's Earth. I know what that's like. give me another planet. I want something different. And
They
then
carried
kind
on
of
with
going up,
Eternia because the Eternia sets were absolutely bangers. If they just kept
Yeah.
it there, it would be grateful.
yeah, just a war trying to get to Grayskull. Be pretty good. Different sections of that, and they need to get the cosmic key or whatever. Then that's still universally sorted.
It already lost enough money. I don't know if they want to spend another couple of million on sets because I don't think it would. I don't know if it would
They
have
were
taken.
already built though. They could have easily just done it in the quarry and then done it in the throne room.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you need
But
to
my
use.
my other low point is actually carries on with the key stuff. Is how the fuck does everybody know how to use that? Like, that little dude definitely didn't give Skeletor the full walkthrough on how to one track another one somehow magically.
Yeah.
And like, I don't know, I can't play a guitar, and there was about 1,000,001 buttons on that thing.
It's just doing it by the
They were
noise,
just
really.
banging them in.
Yeah.
He was just pressing any old thing. The humans just randomly started pushing buttons, I guess. But yeah, you're right. The alien people all know how to do it. Goldor obviously invented it, so he knows how to work it. But
That was like, there's only 2 keys. And Skeletor's got one and Gwildor had the other one. So how did the assassins get back from Earth? Without
Still
keys?
has- Did they bring it with them, or did they?
Well, no, because
know.
when they arrived, Skeletor's got it sitting next
Yes,
to him.
he's got it around his waist. Yeah,
He doesn't let it go. He doesn't let go of it.
So Skeletor could have opened it from his end, maybe. I don't know.
maybe.
I don't know how it works.
Either way, it's another thing with the whole. He really knows how to use that. He can make portals just appear.
While we're on it, I didn't actually put it in low points, but it's definitely on my nominations. I will try and find it. I've nominated for worst plan, but I'll bring it up here since talking about it. It's at the end of the film, but it involves the keys. At one point near the end, Skeletor has one of the keys, and Eva Lynn has the other one of the keys. As they get there and successfully, they come to Earth and they have both of them. So instead of the two of them just going back and being like, there you go, He-Man, you're stuck on Earth, this planet that you don't know where it is, and you can't get off of it because they've not invented space-time travel and all that sort of stuff. They go looking for He-Man for some reason.
Because they need.
Yes.
No, he
he
needs
also
He-Man
wants
to
him-
show.
He wants his power. Well, not his power. Wants
So it's
him.
not that. It's also to like defeat He-Man on
Yeah.
Eternia.
Yeah.
So the
Towards
people,
the end,
like,
you can tell it's like an ego thing. Like I
Yeah.
need He-Man alive. I need him to see me win. Essentially, is what it is. But yeah, I thought essentially you've won here. Like he is the most trouble you're ever going to have, regardless of how much power you have. So just abandon him there, disappear back off to Eternia, and you've won. You don't have to see He-Man ever again. I would imagine, unless Gwildor invents another one, I guess. But yeah, that was a point I had to pick as well, which I will nominate for worst plan later, but we can argue then. My next low point is Kevin. I think it's in Courtney Cox, is it Julia, in her house. There's a whole bunch of Burger King boxes there. He just bungs them in the sink. Like, why? Just put them in the bin. Like, are you going to wash them? Why are you putting them in? Like, what?
I found it weird to put his chicken in the microwave. Do
Well,
you
yeah.
do that? I thought
don't
you eat it cold.
I don't eat boned chicken anyway, so I don't think I would microwave it. But yeah, his fast food kind of, I don't know, manners, or what you call it, keeping is strange. But yeah, I could not work out why he just bunged. But like, obviously, maybe Burger King paid for the sponsorship and was like, oh well, don't just throw our boxes in the bin. That's all you see of them. Just put them in the sink. That doesn't make any sense. I've got a couple others. Has anyone else got any? I'm sure Chris has still got a few lined up.
Yeah. Tila's utterly pointless fourth wall break. Just look at the camera and once you see, I think it's woman power or something like that. You didn't need to
This was progressive.
But yeah, no, you didn't have to like break the fourth wall. Just
This was trend setting back in like 1987.
There are a few times when people look straight down the camera when I don't think they're supposed to. Like bad direction.
this was on purpose. It was
But, yeah.
the whole like woman power thing doesn't bother me, but you didn't have to directly look at the camera
Yeah.
and say it. It takes you out the film.
You're sexist, Chris. We know it.
Well, why would I pick?
I bet you.
one of
I
the
bet
films
you're
with
the
more
type of
females
person
in
that
it?
hated the Avengers Assemble when it was all female.
I mean, I did
And
that. I
you
did
said,
roll my
"Ah."
eyes. I rolled my eyes.
I've got another low point.
On you go.
Gold Skeletor. No, just no.
Yeah, I'm like,
Oh,
oh,
yeah.
here we go, super duper god powerful Skeletor. It's like, what is he wearing? He ends up looking like some of the Scorpion King.
I was thinking for the Power Rangers fans out there, they look like Goldar.
Oh yeah, that's ring a bell actually.
Skeletor and Goldar.
My final bit is right at the very end. Is like, why would they send Julie back to before her parents died? Like, see, her parents died for years, and she's made a life. She's got, I don't know, she's had a kid or something like that. Would that kid just like disappear?
She didn't have
I
a
don't know.
Like,
But you see, I think he's thinking of the future here.
I've just got massive holes in the space-time continuum. I've got
Yep.
It's like-
Multiverse. Marvel
Yeah.
already explained how this works now. It's fine.
I just didn't make any sense why you just send her back then. Like
I mean,
all
it
those
makes,
years afterwards, it'd be pointless.
well, we don't know how long it is. It could be shortly after. That's the thing I was trying to work out. I wanted to put in the quiz as essentially the final question. How old is Julie? Because I have absolutely no idea how old she is. Like, she's not in high school because she's at the high school for the dance, but that's just because Kevin's performing at it. And she was in a job, but she was just leaving the job, and she's able to live in a house on her own, but her parents have just died, and they died because she didn't go to the beach with them, which seems like a kind of kid thing to do. She was clearly living in the same house as them. So I was like, how old is she meant to be? I have no idea. So yeah, there's issues with that. But I think it was quite a nice ending. I thought, oh, there we go. She helped them save the day, so they essentially gave her the one thing she wanted back. I thought it was a nice ending.
My low point's actually the end. Like, you like that bit, but just before that, when He-Man does the whole "I have the power" bullshit, that annoyed me so much.
I mean,
Because it just no.
the fight was good, but I've got like my last my final thing I've just got written down is Dolph. It's the last word I've got. Anything involving him is really
He
bad.
fits a theme. He fits a theme.
He looks the part, and that's where it ends. Even him saying "I have the power," and I'm like, okay, that's He-Man. I remember doing that as a kid when I had a toy sword. I hold it up and do all this sort of stuff.
He usually says that and turns in from Adam to like He-Man. He was already fucking He-Man.
I already have the power. I've had the power the whole time.
I know, I've had the sword sitting here for fucking ages. I've just not bothered to use it. If he did that in the first 10 minutes, we wouldn't be talking about this film right now. It'd be over.
I don't know if it's picking holes in it, but Skeletor is reasonably powerful on his own. I think I can't remember if he's got any superpowers as a character. I'm not sure if he's just like a badass skeleton guy, but he is powerful. Then he has like the sorcerers under his power. Then he has all the powers of Grayskull, and then he has the powers of the lunar, whatever you want to call it, portal thing and all that. Then he gets the sword, has all the powers, and then He-Man just beats him anyway. And it's like, what use was any of this? Like, what waste of your time and effort, Skeletor?
Yep.
It's like He-Man is still better than you, which is one of my low points. Is Skeletor towards the end? Is he delusional, misinformed, or just underpowered? Like one of those, like. Either he was told all the stuff was going to help him and it didn't, or he just is not good enough to do it. But yeah, I thought his entire plan falls down the end where he gets everything he wants and it still loses. Is a terrible, terrible plan. Any more low points?
No, I'm out.
Nah.
That'll do us then. Crack on with point number 4. On to point 4 is the stats. I kept track of the usual statistics. There were 2 shits in the film, both said by, I always call him Mr. Strickland, but James' name is escaping me right now. Tolkien. James Tolkien, Mr. Strickland from Back to the Future. He said both of them. No F-bombs whatsoever because it's a PG film. Explosions. Now, again, I'm not doing a little bit of farty kind of sparking. That's not an explosion, but there were 13 proper
It started off with an explosion, actually.
Yeah.
Count that one?
There's lots of...
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's how you start a film. Explosion.
Explosions is the beginning. I had a check mark there. Normally it's someone peeing or a cow early on, but an explosion. Deaths, quite a difficult one. Not easy to keep track of them because there were a lot of minions taking bumps off of nothing, but I think 54 deaths. I did have Skeletor as a death, but I did watch to the end of the credits. Did Chris watch to the end of the
I
credits?
did not.
Ah!
He was done by that time.
Chris missed the first ever Universal post-credits. There was at the very end. Skeletor pops his head out of some pink goo, and
as I was looking for a background, I seen that picture. And I was like, "The fuck's that from?" I was like, "The movie."
Right. So normally,
picture.
Normally in the podcast, I do movie references and parodies and all sort of stuff. Skeletor pops his head out of the goo. And literally 2 years after Terminator came out of the cinemas, he just goes, "I'll be back," down the camera in a straight rip-off lift from the Terminator. Like, there's no other way to describe it than he took a popular film from a year before and said the main catchphrase from it at the end. So yeah, he pops up, says, "I'll be back," and then
never was.
The film never happened. I read a little bit of trivia. I don't know if Andy's done any trivia reading. Have you? Have you got all your back?
Nah.
No. So. They were going to make the second one. It was going to be called Masters Universe 2. I think it might have been called Cyborg or something like that. But then obviously they didn't didn't make it, and in the end, a production company bought all of the costumes and stuff that they'd saved for it, and made a film called Cyborg that has Jean-Claude Van Damme in the lead of it. Is that? I think that's
Right, yeah.
that film essentially is like another bastard child of He-Man. Because they had all the stuff, and so they sold it off to make that film. Anyway, back into the stats again. Usual quotas. There was a cow. There wasn't a goat. Did we have a dead animal?
No, there was a goat.
Was there a goat?
Skeletor's staff is a goat head.
Fair point. I'll say a goat's head. That would be a dead animal, if nothing else. So yeah, fair enough. It could be a dead goat. I don't think anybody peed in the film. I don't think at any point that was.
I reckon peed in the bushes when they arrived because I would have used the toilet.
You got to wonder what your inside's going through like as a portal.
Yeah, I don't know how long that actually took, but if I'm flying through space, I don't want to pee in the multiverse. I'll pee when I arrive.
So it's raining on all these different planets.
That's what rain is.
And we successfully made it through a film, I think, without a paedophile, the devil, or the KKK. I mean, Skeletor might be quite close to the devil. Maybe Evil Lynn is maybe the devil, but I think we did okay. Did they say the thing? Did they say Masters of the Universe?
Yes.
No? At 1 minute 25 into the film, they say Masters of the Universe. It's the guy at the beginning. At one point, Skeletor says that he will be master of the universe, but not masters of the universe. And did they say the thing in the film? Did they say, I have the power?
Twice.
Yes.
Said it twice. That was the catchphrase I was waiting for.
I had that recorded.
Yeah.
So I thought I said it quite a few times.
Yes. Chris, any other stats?
I've already mentioned one, like they use the same scene 3 times. Also, like for someone who is famous for using the sword, he uses it 6 times. He uses a gun and a blaster most of the time.
Yeah, it's a gun in this. It's about this He-Man of a gun.
I don't remember him ever using a gun. It's always his sword.
And then he gives up on it. Sod it, back to the sword.
And a random stat, Christina Pickles and Courtney Cox would go on to play mother and daughter in Friends.
Well, I had that mentioned in my notes somewhere as well. Yes, I wonder if it was a link. I wonder if it was because they knew each other or if it was just a complete coincidence. Andy, I may have a feeling where you're going to go with this. Most pornographic scene in Masters of the Universe.
Right. Imagine, say you were friends with Courtney Cox. Okay.
It's Courtney Cox.
And you're like good friends, and then you're just like you're watching her change while eating fried chicken. Like. That was a pornographic scene right there.
I thought it was going to be the ribs, but yes, it did.
That woman standing watching cooking eggs.
Yeah, just that woman standing there, just like eating fried chicken, watching Courtney Cox get changed. I was like, I would love to be her.
What position?
Fried chicken.
I mean, Dolph Lundgren's outfit is pretty close to being X-rated, but we'll leave that
I reckon
there.
it was some slippage.
Oh, somebody takes on the cutting room floor. Oh, there's a bollock.
Well, they kept it in for homage to Julie and Mummy, so they might have kept it in.
What nationality is he? German balls?
Swedish.
Swedish balls. Swedish meatballs.
IQ balls.
Right, 0.5 on the 10-point podcast. It's a 10-point podcast quiz.
Right, can we just throw this? I'm throwing it. Chris can win.
You might win this one because I can't remember.
I've tried to set you up some easy questions again. I'm determined
I have not paid any attention to this film at all.
See how you get on then. This is a 2-part quiz. The first half of the quiz is one format, and the others it's kind of we'll get to it when we get to it. So, question one. Andy's first question, and I'll try. I'll be lenient. What makes the cosmic key the most unique key in the universe? I.e., what does it open?
The universe, like worlds in the universe.
Can open a doorway to anywhere. I'll give you a point for that since we're trying to get Andy to win. Chris, what does Gwildor introduce himself as? He says, "I'm Gwildor. I am
Keymaker."
No, he is a locksmith and inventor. You're not getting a point for that.
Keymaster. That's what I would have said.
Quickly on, Andy. Where is Courtney Cox first working when we meet her? Or meet her when we first... Well, I don't want to say where she's working when we find her.
Robert's Chicken and Ribs.
Yeah, Robert's Ribs and Chicken. You've got all the elements there. So, yes, I'll give that 2 points to Andy. Chris. In the film, we're introduced to Skeletor's finest warriors. Can you name me 3 of Skeletor's finest warriors?
Blade.
Correct.
Sarud.
Correct.
Man Beast.
Oh, carry on. You're wrong on that one.
Beast Man.
Fair enough. Yes, the Beast Man, or as I kept calling him, the Beastman. I thought the Beast
What was the last one?
and Karg.
Karg. I can't remember that one.
He's the one with the hair metal mullet. Is Karg.
Aye.
But yes, you got the others. Sauron is the one that when I heard it, was like, did she say Sauron? And I got something.
Yeah, that's what
It could have zoomed in on his fancy eye at one point. It's like they just lifted from Lord of the Rings as well. The Sauron. Right, 2-1 to Andy. Next question for Andy. Can you name me one thing that Gwildor uses in order to fix/make the cosmic key at the end of the film? He needs 3 things.
Keyboard.
A keyboard is one of them. The other things I wanted were a bosonic tesseract or an octode rectifier. But you got keyboard, so that's another.
Of course I did.
Chris, next question. What theme was the seniors' dance?
Around the World Fantasy, thank you.
Around
That's the one thing I've got.
Yeah, I was like, what a weird way to it. But yes, Around the World Fantasy was the name.
It confused the hell of it when it happened. It was like, why isn't it like the what do you call it, Statue of Liberty, and then
That's
there's
what
like
Eiffel Tower.
the Eiffel Tower,
Yeah.
and I was just like, what? It's like, all right, that makes sense. Eiffel Tower, and then it was like, what the fuck's going on here?
Around the World
What a theme.
Yeah, strange one. Right. The second half of the quiz here, I'm going to ask you each in turn. I'll Andy first, Chris second. And you to tell me yes or no, was the character I give you in the cartoon series Masters of the Universe? So either a yes.
Oh,
So Andy's got a 1 point lead at the moment. So Andy, was He-Man in Masters of the Universe?
yes.
Correct. Chris,
This is already
Was the
rolling.
little guy in the background?
was Skeletor in the Masters of the Universe, Chris?
Yes.
See, everyone gets easy questions on here. Was Gwildor in Masters of the Universe?
No.
Correct, he was not. They replaced, what's the wee guy's name that floats around? I forget his name.
Yeah, I can't remember him. Yeah, he was a magician dude.
Kind of floats. He was replaced with Gwildor for some reason.
They all float.
Chris, was Duncan Man-at-Arms in the animated series?
Yes.
He was. I don't know if he was called Duncan in that, but he was called
Yes.
Man-at-Arms. Duncan as well, right, okay. 1 point lead still to Andy. Andy, was Evil Lynn in the animated series?
She is.
Yes.
I would have guessed yes.
She was.
I think she's called something different most of the time though.
Chris, the one you missed earlier was Karg in the animated series.
No.
Correct, he was not. Still a 1 point lead. Was Monica in the animated series, Andy?
No.
I'll put Monica. That's Julie, from Courtney Cox's character. Next, Chris. Blade.
Yes.
He was not.
Ah.
He did not move. I think it's just about over then. Andy, Tila. Was Tila in
Yay.
that series? She was.
Yes.
That definitely cleans it up. And Chris was Beastman in the animated
Yes.
series. He was as well. But it was all already in the books. Andy wins 8-6 in a quiz where I did.
Yeah, boy.
My tiebreaker was going to be how many years in jail are the good guys threatened with by the police? That was the tiebreaker. They were threatened with 850 years in jail. That's what Mr. Strickland threatens them with. I don't know why. I don't know why he clicked that number. But yeah. But hey, an actual win for Andy in the quiz after him trying to forfeit at the beginning. So there we go. Quick quiz over and done with. Point 6 on the podcast. Movies within movies. I've mentioned most of my ones. So this references or rips off Star Wars, Flash Gordon, Lord of the Rings. I've got Ben-Hur, and this wasn't me, this was on the internet. The Cosmic Key tune that it plays, I was told it references the Ben-Hur title music. So I checked it out for myself, and yes, it quite literally references the tune. It's almost note for note the main bit. I've got The Predator, because that one looks like The Predator. Back to the Future, that's not just because of Mr. Strickland, but because of the time travel bit at the end. Invasion of the Body Snatchers is mentioned. Terminator is literally the ending quote of the film. And the last one I've got is Thor the Dark World is literally this film. I realised that if you think about all the major elements that there is in Thor the Dark World, this is the same as that. Even in terms of like, it has to be a big lunar thing that all comes together, and then there's the bad guy with a white face chasing after the big blonde hero, and then he goes to Earth and finds a human girl, and even the kind of relationship that Kat Dennings' character and the guy have in Thor the Dark World is very similar to this as well. It's like, yeah, Thor Dark World ripped off Masters of the Universe, I believe. Never not good. Difficult for this one. I couldn't really think of anything, so I put Jimi Hendrix music in a film. It always fits well.
Living in a box.
Living in a box was good, but it doesn't always work when Hendrix always works. Chris, what have you got for
Living in a
movies?
box
And...
always works.
The only guy I could bother looking for was Blade. Was a clown in Batman Returns.
Uncredited as terrifying clown. I don't know how he's uncredited
Hey.
as terrifying clown. But yeah,
The name Blade makes a return from the guy Blade.
it does. Another one I've got on that note is one of Nobby's kids in Grimsby was called Skeletor.
Forgot about that.
Yeah, I found that interesting. I was like, oh my god, a Grimsby reference on the internet. I need to put that in. And how about recasting the?
Oh
us
yeah,
into
I'm all of the clumsy stormtroopers because I am really clumsy. And for a change, I put you fighting Andy because it's always me fighting Andy. So Bruce, you're He-Man and Andy is Skeletor.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'll take He-Man. I went down. We had to be the bumbling idiots, I'm afraid, for me. So I don't know why. I pictured Chris as Karg. As long as you have the
I
mullet,
thought about doing that.
it needs to be that. Andy, I thought you could be Blade just because I know you like Blade the most, like actual Blade. So I'll be Beastman because I enjoy.
I'll do it for the Predator one because I like Predator.
There you go. Okay, we'll go that way. As long as you still wear the mullet, that's the only difference. Andy, any other recasting notes?
Right, this one's controversial. Right, it's never been done in the history of my recasting, but I'm going to take Dolph Lundgren out than literally anybody else in. I think it would be a better film.
Oh, totally. Yeah, it would change it for the better regardless. Yeah. It should put
Doesn't
David.
matter. You name anybody, it would work. Just name
Could you
somebody.
imagine David Schwimmer?
We've got other
There you go.
put David Schwimmer as
That'll
he. Or even Elliot Gould.
It works. It's a better film. Extra point
Brilliant.
already.
Yes, amazing. Andy, point 7 on the podcast is your trigger warning. So do warn anybody here that's listening. Andy could come out with anything that could trigger you here.
Right, I didn't really have that. Like, it was really hard for me to find a trigger warning. However, I did find one. Bad parents.
Ah.
Because they decided she's not very well. She doesn't want to go to the beach. We'll fuck off on our plane. Like, I don't know where they were going. Like, because I thought, all right, they went on a plane to holiday, but no, we found out he's a little pilot or whatever.
He said,
So he might have only been away for a few hours.
said Catalina. So I think that's the island off
Right.
of California, I think.
So he's probably going to be away for a good few hours. If not, he's away for a couple of days because he's a prick. And he's left his ill daughter, like, well, fake ill, but you know what I mean. That's pretty bad. Like, if she is, whatever, 14, 13, 15, anywhere between 14 and 35, she is an undisclosed age. But bad parents, they just annoy me.
If she's old enough to have to
Chris.
like lie about, say, oh,
Yeah.
I can't do this because I'm my
Yeah, the
boyfriend.
parents
Did
quite
she
clearly
say
have
that she was
control.
ill or she said I just didn't want to go?
She made up an
I think
excuse.
she made an excuse, yeah. I'm pretty
She'll
sure she
hang
was
out
ill
with
or something like that.
Yeah, her boyfriend that she wanted to break up with, and now they're all lovey-dovey again.
That came up in my when I was researching like one of the story was it they were spending their last day together, her and him.
Yeah.
I thought the two of them were leaving together because they like I said, they were very pally. They were never getting too emotional and all that sort of stuff. Like I know it was a bit at the beginning when they find the key and all that, but I thought they were saying bye to her parents and that's why it was like that. But yeah, I never once got the feeling the two of them were on the outs. I don't know if Kevin realised that she was leaving without. I hadn't thought that far yet.
Yeah,
My
just in
trigger warning-
general.
I've literally got
Go on.
under anti-trigger warning with a question mark after it, vegetarians, because there's a very preachy bit about.
There was. She was, yeah, you're right, because she is a vegetarian as well. That was kind of like, I literally forgot about that. But yeah, this is an early vegetarian vegan film right here.
Yeah.
Trying to, but she still did keep the meat in her mouth.
No, you can't
Always
be
keep the
picky
meat in her
when you're
mouth. Hey. But no, bad parents, they just annoy me.
I did not
Don't be a
nominate.
dick.
I did not nominate Monica Geller's dad for worst dad because I thought
No.
really, it may have been his fault. We don't know.
It's a bit bad nominating when he's dead.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Right, on to point 8. Our nominations for the actual nominations that we are nominating for the 10 Point Podcast Awards, which I realise now this is episode 12, I think, of the season. So we're beyond halfway there.
Okay.
I'd better get started soon on compiling. I've not gone first in a while, so I'll go first. Has to be Living in a Box by Living in a Box for
Yep.
best song.
I went for Purple Haze instead of Living in a Box.
Yeah, it's a better
Nah,
song,
in the box.
but I popped Living in
Memories.
a- yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. we need to debate most unexpected. I did not expect to see Monica Geller's mum in the film Monica Geller was in, like Courtney Cox. I did not expect her to be there. Then when I realised who Kevin was, I was like, oh my god, it's the guy from Voyager who like drives the spaceship. I was like, was not expecting him to be in anything ever, and he wasn't.
I've
in
never
anything.
seen it, so doesn't sound to me at all.
And then Mr. Strickland, old James Tolkien himself, playing essentially the same character, but I'm a cop now. Does anyone have anyone want to pick out an?
I'll go for Monica's mum because it took me a while to recognise that's who it was.
Yeah.
Christina Pickles, then she's definitely most unexpected. But yes, none of them I expected to see. Worst acting, Dolph Lundgren probably wins the pointy. Castle Grayskull for best sets. I mean,
I would say that.
I'll go for that. I put a tenure in general, but
I've got under worst accent. I've got Dolph again because I'm not actually sure what he was going for in the way of an accent. But He-Man like
it's
sounds
just
like
his natural Swedish accent.
But he's got a worst acting nomination, so Adonis doesn't need that as well. I've got best score. Yes, I'm nominating for best score because apparently we have that award. Best hair. Duncan's tash is the best hair. What was that? Pristine it was.
It was a good.
Worst hair, definitely Karg's mullet. Has to go down. Most obvious name making a return, Evil Lynn. I said, oh, it's right there. You can't be a good guy if you call that. Best supporting, I put Courtney Cox in because I thought Courtney Cox was actually pretty good in this film.
Yeah.
To be the normal human in amongst all the madness, it was quite difficult. Before I get on to the main awards, best Jimmy, James Tolkien. When I see a James, I've got to nominate him. I thought he was pretty good. This actually. I thought he gets way more to do than he does in Back to the Future. Does Mr. Strickland as Detective Lubick, I think it was. But onto our top awards, I've got 3 nominations for the top awards. Best Inanimate Object, Cosmic Key. Has to be a front runner for best inanimate object. Best Bell End, Skeletor, goes without saying. And then I've got worst plan, Skeletor and Evelyn finding both the keys and then deciding to not just leave He-Man where he is. And I got a lot of nominations. So who wants to pick some ones in between or
I'll go
argue?
for some that you've not done. Best costume. I'm going for Evelyn. There's something about her costume that's pretty good. And I remember being a kid going, actually, she's quite hot.
Yeah.
She's got crazy eyes.
Yeah.
But the whole costume, they all work. The ensemble. Where Skeletor's looks quite good from a distance, but when he does all these close-up things, it's just a really shit rubber mask.
It's weird seeing like
for his Skeletor's costume.
Black
his
fabrics
pops out. Like his nose, you see sticks out, but it's made to look like it's not there. I was like, that doesn't really work.
Yeah. But no, Evelyn best costume. Biggest Bell End award, Skeletor. He's a bit of a dick there. Best entrance, I'm going for Dolph Lundgren arriving on Earth because I don't know if you notice it. It's a very quick scene, but they all kind of go through and they all kind of like you see them kind of fly out, and he does this awesome forward roll, but it's really shitly CGI'd, so he just kind of pops up straight away.
Yeah,
it's a majestic entrance he does there, and then I think everything else you've covered, best sets and all that I agree with and everything.
On you go, Chris.
Well, we've gone for best costume as Skeletor, but we'll up at skeletons.
Skeletons.
Okay, my best performance was Meg Foster as Evil Lynn. I thought she's the best.
She's pretty good. I did like her.
All right, well, I'll bump Courtney Cox for her then.
She was best supporting.
Aye. Can't say Evil Lynn was leading the film.
She was the main. She was the film.
Yeah.
She was the film. Right.
She was actually the main bad guy, really.
When you think about it, actually doing things,
my worst plan was Julie's. My mum's back from the dead, so I'll just hand her the one thing that my friends are trying to keep safe. This is stupid. Like, how would you think my mum came back from the dead and just knows about the cosmic key?
What was the cover up? Was like, we've been doing some super secret stuff I couldn't even tell you about, and we need the key now. I suppose in the heat of the moment, like, this bizarre stuff is going on that you did not even think was possible. And then there's your mum, and she's like, "Oh, actually, this is what we've been doing this whole time." It's not a massive jump, I don't think, but yeah, you're sitting there with like kind of face palming. Like, oh, I don't give it.
My final one is worst cop is Lubick because he was an actual shit cop. And then just abandons all of his friends to stay with some random woman he met after.
I did like that development at the end. Yeah, she was. You actually see another one. I spotted this, Chris. And at the end, when he's all like, "Oh yeah, I'm going to stay. I've got a lovely woman," and like, he turns to her, and as he turns back, she thought he was going for a kiss. So she kind of goes for a kiss, and then he turns away, and she's all awkwardly kind of lurking. It's really weird. No one's mentioned special effects. Are we agreeing that they're good, fine, indifferent? I think they're
all right. They're of his time.
Yeah,
they still hold up actually in the grand scheme of things.
Chris says he remembers.
The lightning's probably the best lightning I've seen.
Yeah, the lightning's good. Chris mentioned the hoverboarding thing, which
it's awful now. Especially when He-Man, when everybody else is on it, it's fine. When He-Man's on it, it just looks stupid because he just doesn't move.
There was something about I don't know. It seemed to work for me. I don't know I don't know why. There's something about the special effects in this film.
I think this film would be better if it just took He-Man out. It would have worked so much better.
Oh yeah, the Masters of the Universe, and then He-Man comes in the sequel.
Yeah. I don't know who defeats Skeletor.
Make it all about Duncan. Duncan and the Master of the Universe.
Yeah. There we go. That's what they should have made. Okay then, on to point 9. The moral of the story. What lesson was Masters of the Universe trying to teach us? Chris, what have you got as a moral?
Don't talk when everyone's Skeletor because he'll put you to work.
Yeah.
What was it? Evil Lynn says, I was not suggesting that I go. He said, well, you should not have spoken then. So don't speak around him because he'll make you work.
Do not criticise, yeah. I've got, if you find a UFO or some weird thing in the bushes, keep a hold of it. Because, like, they went through some shit, but they pretty much, she got her dead parents back because she found, like, a UFO in, like, a bush somewhere and all that. So I think the moral story is, if you find, don't give it to the authorities, you keep a hold of it and someone important will come looking for it.
Well, she did, and he stole it.
Who stole it?
Lubeck stole it from them.
He did, I suppose, but he got it in the end as well. He was happy. He was living on Eternia with a woman trying to kiss him. Andy, what's
Ribs and chicken, the ultimate combo.
The ultimate combo. Never be defeated. On to point 10, the 10-point rating. We're in rate the movie out of 10. Let's go alphabetical order because we've all seen it before, I think. So Andy, you picked it. You're going first anyway.
Right. It is a bit shit. It doesn't hold up the more you watch it. There's something about it though. There's potential. There's so much potential here, and it's not all the way shit that it should be like right at the bottom. So it's below average. So I'm going for a 4.
4 for Andy. I mentioned earlier that I upon sitting down and thinking about it before we started, I gave an extra point, which means I've gone from a 4 to a 5 because everything Andy says, I don't know what it is, but this film has something about it.
It doesn't make sense.
It's entirely watchable.
I agree. I watch it. Yeah.
There's nothing good about it. There's nothing bad about it. It's just like, but then also everything's shit and everything's great at the same time. It's a bizarre thing. I don't know. So I can't go. I had a 4, but I thought, no, actually, I would watch this again. I've watched it most of it twice, which I don't always do. I stuck it on tonight, kind of ran out of time because we recorded a bit earlier, but I did watch the first hour and the last bit. So yeah, I give it a 5. I think it's a fine film that is fine. So there we go. Chris, what have you got?
I found it really boring. Like, especially when they get to Earth. If they'd stayed in this like Eternia, it would have been a lot better. But like I found any attempt at humor, it just fell flat. It wasn't funny.
Yeah, I didn't laugh at jokes in it. I laughed at things that I was like, oh, there's a cow and that's funny.
Okay. Like you've mentioned, they've copied so much from other things like Star Wars, and I didn't know about Terminator. Straight from Terminator.
Even the lightning bolt thing when they're traveling through portals is Terminator as well.
Yeah. Like Dolph Lundgren is He-Man and look alone, and that is it. He can't act, especially maybe nowadays he can, but in this film he can't. And I didn't think the special effects aged well at all. I just didn't enjoy it, and I'm giving it a 2. Because it's not the worst film I've seen, but it will get a 2 purely because I forgot to mention this. I pissed myself laughing when a trooper tripped over trying to capture He-Man. Like, do you know when he crashes his little hoverboard? He tried to step over it and he went bang, face planted.
This is why
it's fucking hilarious.
Chris watches films this bizarre way. He knows, like he now spots the things in the background.
That's not even in the background. It's right in front of me.
I was in the store. I was trying to work out the story. It's like Chris is like, oh, that guy's fell over. Oh, that guy's fell over. You've missed plot points, Chris. That's why you're not enjoying it.
I've watched it like twice this week, and I missed him tripping over the first time. I was just watching this time, and I was like, he just fucking fell over. Wait a minute, let's go back and watch that. And he tripped over the spaceship and just went bang and face planted. So yeah, it's a 2.
It's a 2. Yeah.
But I will say to kind of round it up with everybody, this is not a He-Man film.
No, it's not.
My points are purely on Masters of the Universe, nothing to do with the mythology, the comics, the cartoon, or anything. That's my rounding off.
Imagine what it could have been. Say in the old school style where Andy would do a modern version, everything's the same, but you put like Chris Hemsworth as He-Man.
Yeah.
How much better? Because he'd be funnier and he's a way better actor and all that sort of stuff. And I was, what this could have been if it was a good He-Man would be better. I still think it would have bombed at the box office and all that. But I think, it's not all the way bad. Official rating is a 4, though, so it's pretty much where all our films end up. Is usually about a 4. That's the official 10-point podcast rating for Masters of the Universe. Not a bad pick, Andy. Thank you for bringing my kernels.
I gave us some shit to talk about that's all over the shop, good and bad. The last few films have all kind of agreed. So
yeah. And Andy's theme is the Expendables. We already know that. So that was the Dolph Lundgren. And you've got 2 to go. So you got 1 more. And are you going to do the Expendables? Is that what you said to us? I think you said.
Who knows?
We don't know. So
I might carry on for another season.
Another couple
a lot of Expendables.
Yes, there are. So it was Andy's pick this time, which means next time, or the current pick, I should say, is time to spin the wheel of films that we thought of a name for. So
we don't. I've got to try and work out how to do this again.
Yes. He finds our wheel. We've had a few selections. What have we had?
We're trying to work out what Adam's theme it was picking out for us.
Oh, that's right, because we had Hungry Kids.
Bad Parents or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, Ready or Not. And then what have we had last
time? Can you see the wheel of randomness?
We can see the little. I can actually see it twice. It's because there's a smaller version on there as well. So I don't know if you can make that.
Right, I'll get rid of this. There we go. Right, are we ready for the spin?
Yes, I am ready for the spin.
Here we go.
Not getting the funky tune this time, apparently, but
Spencer's
there's funky tunes. I can hear it.
Oh, you can hear the tune. What a split that was there.
What a pick!
What is the next one?
It was Tammy and the T-Rex.
Oh my god.
Which was meant to be horrific, I think. So yeah, what's that? The Amityville Horror, is it? Is that what it is? Yeah. 1970 whatever or something like that. Wasn't
Fits
it?
in perfectly for Halloween.
Yeah. Perfect.
What is that? What? The wheel of randomness knows.
It knew it was the horror season. Although it's hands down going to be the scariest film we do, I think.
It's like we've probably ever picked.
Can I watch the Ryan Reynolds version now? Because I don't want to watch the old version.
I've seen the Amityville Horror. That's the one I thought was going to pop up.
Is the Wheel of Names going to disappear now, or is it staying for the rest of the episode?
I don't know. I don't know how to get rid of the Wheel of Names.
Yeah.
How to get rid of the Wheel of Names?
I can't remember how you got rid of but a few more films there we could potentially be having in the future. And we're back. Yay. Yes. Amityville Horror, 1979 version, I believe it was. Giving us something actually spooky to watch for next time. I feel I had something I was going to say before throwing to our outro this week. I don't think it was Good Journey or whatever it was. But everyone has 7 days. Try and find the Amityville Horror. I'm sure it's somewhere with it being horror season.
Make sure you get the right version.
Sure, the 1970s version. Do we know who picked it? Because I definitely don't know who picked it.
It's either Rachel or...
It's going to be on your massive...
It's one of Chris's friends again.
Yeah, exactly.
He's the only one that's got friends.
Exactly. So yeah, 7 days, Amityville Horror, 70s version, and we'll see you next week on the 10 Point Podcast.